Some tragedies shape destinies. Astrid found herself cloaked in the weight of their aftermath. 11 children, fragments of a broken legacy, each one a living reminder of King Aldrich's merciless conquest. Their laughter echoed through the dusty halls of her old cottage, a bittersweet symphony that layered hope over grief, a curse and a blessing all at once. Astrid's heart raced amid the chaos. She was alone now. Her family was gone, slaughtered in the king's brutal rampage. Yet here she was, standing in the middle of a wild, untamed life. 12 heartbeats pulsed with raw energy, laughter ricocheting off the faded walls where sorrow once lingered. The eldest, Liara, sliced through the noise, her fire igniting the children around her. 13 and fierce, she wore her defiance like armor. Astrid watched as Liara glanced back, her eyes sparkling with determination. "I can help, Astrid," she insisted. "We can't keep living like this. We need more than scraps." Her voice was full of passion. Astrid felt the weight of betrayal digging into her chest. These children were the blood of her enemy, born from a king whose cruelty had shattered her life. How could she trust them? A knot twisted in her gut. But how to ignore their innocence? Each day those wild kids reminded her that hope still flourished amidst despair. The sun dipped in the sky, casting long shadows across the floor. Astrid had dedicated her life to them, teaching them values Aldrich had long forgotten. Empathy, honor, love, lessons wrapped in a fragile wrapping of hope. The children thrived, blossomed under her care, yet with each smile, she felt a pang of guilt, a reminder of their lineage tainted by darkness. Rumors of the king's return wove through their days and haunted their sleepless nights. Whispers of his re-emergence spread like wildfire. A consuming dread settled over her. Would he come for them? For his bloodline? Fear gripped her throat. Anger simmered beneath the surface, coursing through her veins like boiling water. Astrid longed for vengeance. A confrontation. A reckoning. She wanted to face the man who had stripped her of everything she held dear. But she was no warrior. Her weapons were kindness, resilience, and relentless hard work. How could she fight against the tide of disaster looming on the horizon? Time marched on. Seasons shifted like shadows, each winter grimmer than the last. Her determination grew, hardened like steel. Night turned to day, and in a blink, the fateful moment arrived. One stormy night, as thunder rolled in the distance, a figure emerged at her doorstep. The heavy knock reverberated through the cottage. She froze, her heart thundering wildly against her chest. Could it be? The man who had stolen everything from her? Astrid hesitated. Fear mingled with a strange sense of dread and curiosity. He stood there, cloaked in shadows, donning a regal yet somber facade. King Aldrich. He wore his kingship like armor, but something flickered in his gaze, unexpectedly human, vulnerable. Confusion twisted in her gut. The thin line between love and hate shimmered in the dim light. "You shouldn't be here," she managed, voice trembling as she gripped the doorframe. "I need to see them," he declared, the raw urgency of his plea slicing through the air. Each word dripped with a mixture of desperation and longing. First, she refused, heart teetering on the edge of righteous fury. But those children weren't just his anymore. They were hers too. Torn inside, she battled with that realization. As tension crackled like static around them, questions surged in the silence. Was forgiveness possible? Could they build a bridge over rivers of anguish and guilt? Astrid stood at the threshold, eyes locked on the man who had steered her life into chaos. The storm raged around them, echoing her inner turmoil as she considered the enormity of his request. Memories flooded back. Her family, her village, the screams that haunted her dreams. Meadowfields set ablaze, voices silenced forever. What had once been a vibrant tapestry of life was now a jagged scar etched into her soul. The day Aldrich descended upon her village, his army ravaging homes and hearts, marked the beginning of her nightmare. She had lost everything that day. She had fled into the woods, clutching the twin boys who had clung to her, their innocent faces stained with terror. It was her only escape. Years passed since then, but their faces were forever engraved in her memory. She had stumbled upon the forsaken remnants of her old life, and what remained, a dilapidated cottage, turned into a makeshift home. Here, she fought to build anew, wiping tears from their cheeks, telling stories of bravery, teaching them about values lost to the ashes of war, empathy, honor, love. At first, the children had been frightened little birds, but together they built a nest. Each laugh brought a flicker of solace, each lesson a step closer to healing. Then there were the days when she watched Liara. The girl was the embodiment of fire, an untamed spirit desperate to rise above her heritage. Astrid caught glimpses of her strength as Liara mothered her siblings, ensuring their meals were shared and rations were rationed. "We will survive," she would declare, voice unwavering, but Astrid saw the flicker of fear hiding under her bravado. Yet now, with Aldrich standing before her, the delicate web of safety she had woven for them trembled. If he wanted to see his children, could she allow it? The children traipsed through her heart, each one carrying a part of Aldrich's legacy. A part of her fought the idea of him being anything more than the monster that had ripped their lives asunder. Truth crashed into her like waves against stone. Aldrich might be their father. Her chest tightened with despair. Those children had hopes and dreams. They were innocent of his sins. Could his history be forgiven? Or were they forever shackled to a past that had devoured countless lives? If he was there to reclaim them, those precious children would face a world overrun by his cruelty. But if they chose to embrace him, what if he takes them away? She whispered, as though the wind carried her thoughts away from her lips. Then he softened. "I'm not here to take them from you. Not now." The intensity in his eyes dimmed, replaced by a haunting honesty that twisted her resolve. "I need to see them. My kingdom is in peril." Her heart lurched. "What do you mean?" "Whispers of rebellion grow within my ranks," he confessed. "I need them. They're my blood, the only legacy I have left." His words ignited a dormant fire within her. Self-doubt flickered. The weight of her burdens felt heavier. Memories of her family clawed at her heart's edge. "You took everything from me. Do you think you can waltz in and play the loving father? It doesn't work like that." Astrid's throat tightened. She had forged her own family from the ashes of loss. Her rightful place was standing before him with a heart full of vengeance. "Who are you to demand this?" But beneath the anger lay a curiosity, a cautious glimmer. The flicker of vulnerability in his voice made her hesitate. Was it a facade? Or was he truly capable of change? "Your hatred," he murmured. "I understand it more than you think." The air crackled between them, heavy with tension. Could she trust him? "Then explain it to me," she challenged, heart racing. "Betrayal runs deep in my blood," he admitted. "I made mistakes, but I want to change. For them." She watched him closely. Could a man born of tyranny reshape his heart? Guilt flickered behind his darkened eyes, and something shifted within her. A piece of that heart clenched tighter, wrapped around the idea of hope. As she stood there conflated between revulsion and compassion, tentatively considering the future, echoes of the children played in her mind, their laughter, their innocence. A decision loomed over her like storm clouds. Could they all become a family? Or would she pay the price for trusting him? Heavy moments stretched between them, questions unanswered, the air thick with uncertainty. She was at a crossroads, a fragile line strung between the past that haunted her and the future that teetered on the precipice of possibility. What would she choose? The battle lines were drawn. Would she allow hope to bloom in the darkest of places? Astrid stood there, pulse racing, caught in the storm of conflicting emotions swirling around her like leaves caught in a tempest. "I need time to think," she finally managed, voice hoarse. The door stood between them, a barrier half-formed and barely holding back the tide of her heart's turmoil. Aldrich hesitated before stepping back. "I'll wait." His eyes lingered a moment longer, filled with a vulnerable weight that both intrigued and terrified her. Then he vanished into the night, leaving behind only the echo of thunder and the scent of rain-soaked earth. Inside, the cottage buzzed with the innocent chaos of her children, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just outside. Their giggles danced around her, pulling her back, momentarily, from the edge of despair. "Astrid! Astrid! Can we bake today? Please." Liara led the charge, her bright smile dispelling the shadows that had crept into Astrid's heart. "Can we make those sweet rolls again? You know, the ones with honey?" Astrid forced a smile as she crouched down to their level. That sounds amazing, but we'll need to gather some ingredients first. Let me help, came the chorus from scattered corners of the room, the children's enthusiasm infectious. As they rummaged through kitchen drawers, Astrid felt a tug at her heart. Their laughter reminded her of warmth, the smell of hay, sunlight pouring in through open fields, and summer days spent without fear, without loss. But Aldrich's revelation loomed large, an unexpected change in the narrative of their little life. She took a moment, watching the kids, taking comfort in their joy. But memories flickered beneath the surface. Each child bore Aldrich's blood. She felt the weight of being their reluctant guardian. Hadn't she sworn to keep them safe, away from their father's cruel shadow? The heated whispers of rebellion that Aldrich had spoken followed her like a ghost, a haunting presence whispering insidiously. Would this man, standing at her door, truly change? Could she even trust her own instinct anymore, let alone him? The night deepened, shadows playing tricks as dreams washed over her. Sleep eluded her. Astrid lay awake, recalling everything she had sacrificed, the storms she had weathered to reach this moment. The ache in her heart beat in sync with the distant rumble of thunder. Could one man change? The question echoed until dawn, unanswered and taunting. By morning, she forced those thoughts behind her, returning to the needs of her little brood. As they stirred after their night's rest, Astrid felt the heavy burden of their lives pressing down on her like a cloak of lead. Was it selfish for her to consider the possibility of inviting Aldrich into their world? Time ticked by slowly as she withdrew into the rhythm of their routine. But the world outside had not forgotten. Tension in the air became palpable. Whispers of conspiracies rippling through the village reached her ears like the crackling of branches beneath winter ice. Signs of unrest. "Astrid," Liara called out, grabbing her attention. "There's someone at the door." Her heart raced. She paused. Was it Aldrich? Panic surged through her veins as she moved cautiously toward the entrance. As she opened the door, she was met not by Aldrich, but by a group of villagers, resolute expressions set on their faces. "We've heard rumors, Astrid. The king's back. We can't have him hurt us again." They weren't asking for her opinion. This was a declaration, and she swallowed hard against the rising tide of anger and fear. "You don't understand." "Understand what?" a man interjected. "That he's only here for his blood? For your children? Those aren't just his. They're ours too. Can't you see that?" The shadows deepened around her, threatening to spill into rage. "They are mine to protect." Their eyes bore into her, fierce and unyielding. She could see the hope and fear battling within them. They were family grieved by loss, forever chasing ghosts of their past. "The king won't get to them, Astrid. Not while we stand together." But Astrid felt her heart twist. They were right. Aldrich had taken everything from her. Yet she couldn't deny something deeper. A flicker of hope nestled within her that perhaps he could change. She stood at the crossroads again. Harmony meant rejecting who Aldrich was and protecting the future of her children. But could she really sever what little bond existed between father and child? "Are you prepared for a fight?" she challenged quietly, breaths mingling with the chill in the air. The villagers grimaced, shifting uncomfortably. "If it comes to it, yes. We lost too much to lose again." Astrid felt a ripple of warmth flow through her. The need for survival was embedded in her bones. With certainty, she gripped the doorframe, resolve hardening her heart. "Then I'll fight too." Their solemn nods filled her with startling courage. "But we must consider everything. If Aldrich comes to us with different intentions, would we be prepared to hear him out?" Though doubt filled her, there stood her children, innocent and eager to trust. Could they unite against the world watching as they stood on the edge of battle and hope? A conversation was brewing just below the surface, a reckoning between the past and a potential future. Each child would soon have to choose their own path. Astrid could feel it. The heavy atmosphere hung like a storm waiting to break. What would she do when the thunder finally struck? Would it be fate they forged as a family? Or would the flames consume them all once more? Astrid stood in the doorway, heart thrumming with tension. The villagers lingered, their faces painted with grief and determination. "What do we do now?" One of them finally broke the silence, voice fragile like glass. Half of her mind screamed to keep the children locked away, safe from their father, safe from the king. But the other half, that flicker of hope ignited from the ashes, urged her to consider. "We discuss it," she said finally, her voice steadier than she felt. "But we must do so wisely. We can't act in fear." Liara joined her side, sensing the weight of the moment, the girl's fierce spirit radiating strength. "Let's make the king understand," she stated firmly. "If he truly wants to see us, he must also see the damage he has caused." Astrid turned to her daughter, the reflection of her own resolve shimmering in Liara's eyes. "You're right. We won't let him just walk in here without consequences. We need to be prepared for anything. You understand that, don't you?" Liara nodded. "Yes, we'll fight for each other." She glanced back at the villagers, a new determination igniting within them. "Gather everyone. We need to prepare and let Aldrich know that we stand united." As they dispersed, Astrid felt a wary relief wash over her. For so long, she'd been dragging the weight of helplessness like an anchor. Perhaps this was the dawn she had been waiting for. And so began their days of planning. Every evening huddled under the flickering light of candles, the electrical charge in the air increasing with each passing hour. Desperation transformed into resolve, turning whispers into strategies. "What do we say when he arrives?" one villager asked. "Whatever it takes to protect each other," Astrid answered, her heart thumping fiercely against her ribcage. She glanced at her children, her gaze lingering on Liara, who looked up, her eyes sharp with determination. "We'll remind him of the pain he sowed, and we'll hold him accountable." Days passed. Each moment cracked like thunder in a storm. Aldrich's presence grew in the shadows, lurking just beyond reach. Astrid could feel the tension clinging to her, a wild beast clawing at her chest. Could he really change? Did he deserve a second chance? Her heart wrestled with the question. In the early hours of dawn, as sunlight wove golden threads through the trees, Astrid felt herself being pulled into that darkness again, the memories of loss rushing back, the faces of those who had died, including her own family, their laughter, their warmth, killed in an instant. She pushed those thoughts aside. She was stronger now. She had the children. She could protect them. But a nagging fear persisted. On the night Aldrich would arrive and face the family he barely knew, the villagers gathered around Astrid's cottage, the air thick with restless energy. Liara stood beside her, each heartbeat sinking, resolute. "It's going to be all right," she whispered, squeezing her mother's hand tightly. "I need you to promise me something," Astrid replied, her voice low and fierce. "Stay behind me. If it goes wrong, you retreat." "I will protect them, Mom." It was there, staring into Liara's eyes full of spirit, that Astrid found her strength. A promise tugged at her heart, the very thing that fueled determination, family. Then came the moment, the thud of footsteps shattering the stillness of the forest. Aldrich appeared as a silhouette, leaving the shadows behind. He stepped forward, regal yet weighed down, the flicker of doubt in his eyes like a dark comet against the dawn. Astrid swallowed hard, feeling the eyes of the villagers upon her. Unyielding. They had chosen to stand with her, and with that unity came a new twisted strength. "Aldrich," her voice rang out, steady and clear amid the gathering storm. "You've come to see them, but first you will hear us. You will hear what you have done." He dared to step closer, but she raised a hand, halting him. "Do not take another step. Respect this place. Understand what you've done." There was silence, the weight of her words heavy in the air. Aldrich's gaze softened, struggling against the tide of memories that had haunted him. "I came here to change," he said slowly. "Change?" The word dripped from her tongue like poison. "You want redemption? You want forgiveness? You took lives, Aldrich. Do you think your blood absolves you?" She saw something flicker in his eyes. Regret? Guilt? Or was it merely an echo of the monster he used to be? His voice cracked, fragile. "I know my mistakes. I feel them every day. Then understand this. My children are not pawns in your game of redemption," she replied, her heart thrumming in her chest. "If you mean what you say, then you will not demand anything from them. You will earn the right to meet them." The villagers murmured in agreement, fierce solidarity melding with their fear. Aldrich held his breath, faced with the consequences of his past. Why should I believe you? Astrid challenged, her fists clenched. You represent death and fear, a shadow over our lives. And your bloodline is just that, a legacy of pain. Liara stepped forward, her voice clear and defiant. You have to make amends. You owe us that, not just to us, but to yourself as well. The silence stretched. Aldrich shifted. I cannot erase the past. I can only promise to be better. Astrid felt her heart twist. There it was again, the flicker of hope brushing against her resolve. This is not about you, she finally whispered, voice trembling but strong. It's about your children and whether they will accept the darkness in you. Can you face that? She met his gaze, unwavering. Aldrich looked back, searching for something unspoken between them, a shared understanding of what could still bloom amidst the chaos. Could he face that darkness? He began, but words stumbled over fear and uncertainty. What do you want? She pressed, expecting a hollow answer. To protect my blood, he finally admitted, a confession tangled with deep-rooted pain. To show them that the past doesn't have to define our future. Astrid's breath caught, the weight of his words heavy in her heart. Prove it. Let me meet them, he uttered. Meet them? Through what gate should they walk? Forgiveness? Trust? Yes. Trust. Respect, he pleaded, voice raw, stripped of nobility. Trust is earned, she replied, heart hammering. You have much to prove. But if you wish to meet them, you must do it here, on our terms. We will be watching, always watching. She turned to the villagers, saw their fear and reluctance mirrored in their eyes. Will you stand with me? Each nod echoed in the night air, 16 lives intertwining for survival. Then let us begin, she declared. The story was only starting to unfold, the hearts and souls of everyone present lingering at its precipice, the skies dark above them. Would they cement a new legacy together? Or would the flames of their past consume them whole? As the first drops of rain began to fall, Astrid faced Aldrich, a fierce determination etched into her heart. The dance of family and forgiveness had merely begun, and the storm was only getting started. The rain fell in sheets, drenching the earth, blending with the tension that flickered like lightning around them. Astrid stood firm, grounding herself like a tree bending against the storm. Aldrich shifted, his eyes cast downward, absorbed in the weight of her gaze and the burden of what lay ahead. Tonight is not just about you, she began, voice steady, yet her heart raced. This is a reckoning for all of us. She stepped closer, the raindrops glistening like tiny daggers in the dark, every word punctuated by the distant rumble of thunder. If you truly seek your children's hearts, understand this. They do not owe you forgiveness. Aldrich swallowed hard, as if her words were stones lodged in his throat. I understand, he replied, but uncertainty lingered around him. He looked up, brow furrowed. What if they don't want to see me? What then? Astrid's heart ached for the man before her. There was a frantic vulnerability unseen in those commanding eyes. Yet, she couldn't waver. Then you accept it. You don't push them. You show them you're serious about change. Otherwise, you risk losing them forever. The rain soaked through her tunic, chilling her skin, but the fire within fueled her resolve. With each word she spoke, the village stirred, warriors clad not in armor but in shared anguish, the battle for understanding looming, palpable. Voices buzzed around them as the villagers began to leave, gathering in close-knit groups. Each whisper shared added tension to the air. Astrid could see it, the fear, the hope, the flickering desire for resolution mingling with the dread of rekindling old scars. It was chaotic, but she needed to guide them, to harness that energy into resolve. We'll face him together, she called out, her voice rising above the drumming rain. Every moment counts. We must demand clarity and truth. They listened, resolutely quiet, but doubt still swam in their eyes. Astrid could feel it, an undertow of fear threatening to pull them back into darkness, a desire to protect their own hearts rather than risk the agony of betrayal again. Aldrich stepped forward, seeking his own chance for redemption amidst the storm. What can I do to show you I'm sincere? To prove to all of you that I'm not the monster I used to be? Astrid took a breath, recognizing the trembling strength in his voice. Start by kneeling, she commanded, her heart pounding as she watched him hesitate. Show us humility, a willingness to listen. With a glance around, he knelt, the ground soaking through his trousers. The action held weight, reverberating through the crowd. Had Aldrich just demystified the king he used to be? Do you have any idea what you've taken from us? She continued, relentless. Do you think I will let my children walk into your life without first holding you accountable? Aldrich nodded slowly, his face etched with struggle, the vulnerability radiating from him still. I do, he admitted. I've lost so much. I'd never ask for the past to be fixed, but I want to try. I need their acceptance. I need to earn my place in their lives. Silence fell over the group, a collective breath held in anticipation. Liara stepped out from behind her mother, slight but steady, every eye drawn to her. Is that really what you want? She challenged, fierce and steady. To earn acceptance after everything? His gaze locked on hers, unflinching. Yes, with every fiber of my being. The rain poured down, the sound of water hitting the earth almost deafening, but Aldrich's presence softened the overwhelming chaos. If they were to move forward, everything hinged upon this moment, their fragile future growing from this awkward, painful moment of vulnerability. What if we don't trust you? Liara pressed, challenging further. She took a step forward, emboldened by the storm and the weight of her mother's presence. What proof do you have that you'll keep your word? Trust is earned, Aldrich admitted, his voice raw with emotion. And if you keep your distance, I will understand. I fear losing you. That is my reality. We need more than just words, Astrid interjected, her heart aching as unspoken fears crept to the surface. You must show us. Make a promise. Not just to Liara and her brothers, but to this village. To face the consequences of your actions otherwise. We will have no choice but to cast you out again. It must be your actions moving forward that hold weight, the village elder chimed in, stepping forward from the gathered group. You must stand not just as a king, but as a man willing to bend and grow. What will that mean to you? Aldrich's shoulders tightened, his eyes hardening as he soaked in those words. I will stand by you, no matter the cost. You have my word. I will return, but not as a conqueror, as a father, and as someone who wishes to protect. Before anyone could respond, a distant cry shattered the moment, the unmistakable sound of chaos rising, shadows from the tree line emerging like specters of dread. Look! Someone shouted, frenzy creeping into their voices. Astrid tensed, adrenaline spiking as she turned, ready to protect her children. To arms! She grabbed Liara's hand, pulling her close. Aldrich rose, adrenaline coursing through his veins. What's happening? Who's coming? But she had no time to answer. As the figures drew closer, she felt a dread tightening around her core. The laughter of children turned to gasps as fear seeped into the very fabric of their small haven. Dark silhouettes charged forward, faces barely visible, but Astrid recognized the glint of weapons held aloft, the shouts tearing through the gathering storm. They're attacking! Protect the children! Aldrich bellowed, moving forward to shield the villagers, determination radiating from his stance. Get to safety! Astrid's heart raced with the chaos surrounding them, turmoil looming in every corner like a predator. Flee! Everyone, flee! But Aldrich was standing firm, ready to confront the encroaching threat head-on. Not today, he declared as he confronted the first shadow reaching for them. Astrid felt panic rise, transforming into sheer force. Get back! They're here for revenge! But even as she screamed, courage surged within her. In that moment, the villagers rallied. They formed a line, protective, resolute. Surrounded by courage and community, they faced the oncoming storm together, the weight of the past pressing at their backs. What they had built during the days of preparation now filled the night, hope colliding with danger. In that chaos, what had once felt insurmountable shifted. Together, they had a chance. The desire for family mixed with the fight for survival. But would it be enough? As the storm raged on, there they stood, side by side, two destinies spiraling toward a crucial clash, a reckoning waiting to unfold. Would they endure? Would they rise above the ashes of vengeance and heartbreak to forge a brighter future? Everything hung in the balance. The battle had only just begun. The chaos erupted into a cacophony of shouts and clashing steel, dark silhouettes charging forward, weapons glinting in the dim light. Astrid's heart raced as she tightened her grip on Liara's hand. To arms! Mom, what's happening? Liara's voice trembled, but Astrid's resolve hardened. Stay close, she commanded, adrenaline surging through her. The laughter of children faded, replaced by the visceral fear that seeped into their small haven. Aldrich stood firm, his heart pounding like a war drum. Protect the children, he bellowed, moving to shield the villagers. Get to safety! But Astrid remained rooted, ready to confront the encroaching threat. Flee, everyone, flee! She urged, panic gripping her. Yet, Aldrich faced the darkness head-on. Not today! A sudden rush of fear twisted within her. But in that moment, courage surged. The villagers rallied, forming a protective line under the mounting tension, their unity pressing against the weight of their past. Together, they braced against the storm brewing around them. Together! Astrid shouted, raising her makeshift weapon with a fierce clarity. She struck out against the nearest attacker, adrenaline electrifying her movements. Aldrich fought beside her, the two of them a whirlwind of defiance against the gathering shadow. The air thickened as Roderick emerged from the fray, a malevolent grin twisting his features. You think you can withstand this? He taunted, voice dripping with contempt. You've built a fragile wall, and I will tear it down. No! Astrid shouted back, anger igniting her spirit. You cannot take my family again! Aldrich turned to her, determination radiating from his core. This is our home. We fight for it. Astrid spotted Liara standing defiantly to shield her younger brother. Liara, get back. I can help. I won't let them take us. No, you need to stay hidden. Astrid's heart pounded as she darted toward them, but Roderick lunged forward, darkness swirling at his feet, the threat clear and undeniable. In a blinding moment, Astrid pushed herself forward and intercepted a blow intended for Liara, her branch striking against the enemy's blade. Get behind me! Roderick sneered, eyes narrowed. You're all fools. This will end in blood. Aldrich squared off against him, positioning himself in front of Astrid and the children. Not while we breathe. You will not destroy what we've built. The villagers responded with a fervent roar, their spirits ignited. They surged forward, striking with resilience, emboldened by their collective fight. Astrid felt the tide turning. Together they forced Roderick back, but the battle was far from over. We need to protect each other, she yelled. With each blow struck, their unity strengthened, their movements synchronized in a show of defiance. They pushed against the darkness that loomed over them, forcing Roderick to stumble, doubt flickering across his features. Enough! Aldrich shouted, raising his weapon. You will not claim this place again. But Roderick, desperate, retreated, laughter spilling forth in defiance. This isn't over. You can't hide behind these weaklings forever. With one final push, Aldrich charged at him, striking decisively. Yes, it is! As Roderick faltered, Astrid and the villagers closed in, united against their former oppressor. Breathing heavily, they stood together, warriors, parents, survivors. Yet amid the silence that followed, a new realization dawned. They had triumphed tonight, but the battle for their future had only begun. What they faced next would require more than courage. It required healing and unity. Aldrich turned to Astrid, eyes fierce yet soft. We need to rebuild, not just the walls of this village, but the bonds that were fractured. Astrid nodded, feeling the weight of pride and determination wash over her. Then we start now, together. As dawn broke, it bathed the battlefield in warm light, illuminating their bruises and scars, a testament to their shared struggle. Each heartbeat became a reminder of what they had fought for, a family, a community, a future. In that moment, Astrid felt a flicker of hope, despite the struggles that lay ahead. They had resisted the darkness together. With newfound strength and resilience, they would heal and move forward, forever altering the narrative of their lives. And as the sun reached for the horizon, they stood side by side, ready to embrace the challenges ahead, forging a path where love and family prevailed, even amid the darkest storms.